Okay.
And welcome to another episode of All Rell Good with number 40 out of Riviera Beach, Florida. He's Richard Rellford, 6'6", 230 pounds, 40-something vertical when he came out of Riviera, went Suncoast High, right? What was it,
Yep.
45, 46?
42. 42.
42. Oh, you're up in that David Thompson. Wow,
Well,
dude.
they got kids higher than that now, though, Tom.
Oh yeah, but you can touch the rim. I told
Yes.
my buddies that Rich can still touch the rim.
Where I
They
can
were
grab
like,
it.
grab the rim. All right. Hey, we got a special guest, Rich. Hey, this is a milestone moment. It's our first Fab Fiver. But hold
Yes.
on a second. The original Fab Five, Richard Rellford was part of, right?
Rich
Paul
Relford, Bush
Jokic,
Wade. There you go.
Robert Henderson,
There you
Royce
go.
Barkley. Yeah, that crew. But we got let's be real, the more famous Fab Five,
I
and
was going to
that's
say
the
the more
Fab
famous
Five
one.
that is historic. And he's Jimmy King out of Plano East High School. Welcome, Jimmy. It's so great to have you on with us.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Rich. Thanks
It's
for
good to
having
have
me.
you.
I appreciate you guys. Good to see you both.
Yeah.
As far as us being the we don't have any qualms with being the second Fab Five or Fab Five Part Two when it's our own blue
There you
blood.
go.
We
There you
got to
go.
give our guys that love because that squad actually won the Big Ten, and that squad
Yeah.
was a bad squad. Like
Yeah.
actually, like growing up watching that era of basketball and the tradition of Michigan football is really what brought me to the
Oh, yeah.
school. A lot of people don't know that I'm from South Bend. I'm a Notre Dame kid.
Wow. I didn't
And
know that.
exactly, a lot of people don't know that. And so the rivalry between the two I grew up on. And
Okay.
me choosing Michigan, obviously, still to this day, 30 years later, I still get some slack over, over going against the rivalry, but
Yep.
that just shows you how much I love our Wolverines.
There you
Yeah.
go,
So
baby.
so for historic, for the tracking of the Jimmy King history, when did you move down to Plano, Texas? You went to Plano East High School,
I went to
right?
Plano East. We moved down there when I was 5,
Okay. Okay.
um, but my family remains in South Bend. So when I
Okay.
talk about home, I still call South Bend home. I'm unique in this aspect that all my family is still in South Bend, which is always be home for me because that's where I was born. That's where my majority of my family is. But I grew up in Dallas. So Dallas is also a home of mine because that's where majority of my friends that I grew up with are.
Gotcha. Right.
However, I spent the most time in Detroit.
Wow.
So the
Yeah.
last 30
Okay.
years I've been in Detroit.
That's great.
So I
Wow. That's
also
cool.
consider Detroit home and where my kids are, grew up and I spent the majority of my time. So I'm unique in the sense that I said I have like 3 homes. But
There you go.
when people, ask where I'm from Indiana. I'm from South Bend.
There
Okay.
you go.
So, Jimmy, I was telling Rich this, and you got to correct me if I'm wrong, but in Plano East High School, because I covered high school sports as a sports writer in the early 80s, and some of these high schools were monstrous high schools.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't Plano East, did you have like 4,000 kids in your high school or something like
Yeah.
that?
Yes, our graduation was like 4 hours long.
Well, I mean,
Really?
how the hell do you, I mean, you're obviously good. I mean, you made the team.
Woo.
And how does someone
Yeah.
make a team when you got freaking 4,500 kids in this school?
Well, hey, it's public school, baby. Get on and get
It's
on.
nuts.
There you go, baby.
Crazy.
Public.
Hey, that's why like today I don't have any sympathy for like ain't no like this load management and take your time. Like, I'm jumping but goes down. Like you gotta love the game
Yeah.
and you gotta do what it takes to get the best out of it. And if it requires going to a gym with 100 kids and then to make a 15-man squad,
Yeah.
that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
And you have to
Yeah.
learn how to separate yourself. All right. There's no
Yeah.
buy-ins. There's no cheating. There's no cutting corners. You got to learn what it takes to fit in and to attribute to the overall goal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I
Okay.
mean, I just find that I mean, Rich, your high school is what? class,
3A. So it had to be
3A,
about,
something a lot smaller, but
yeah, a lot
McDonald
smaller.
All-American Richard Rellford. And I mean, the guy could play football too, Jimmy. I'm sure you know. I'm
Hey,
sure
we
he
still
told
got to
you
play
that.
the
I'm sure he
game.
told you that.
That's right. That's right. And hey, football. See, you got to be a tough guy. And an advantage, and you know this, Rich. The advantage of playing football is that you know how to take a hit, so you're not scared of giving one on the court.
There you go.
Yeah,
Like that's the biggest thing about football. I play football too, and they actually wanted me to play football at Michigan, but
Which way, wide receiver?
I wasn't running the B gap, and they weren't gonna get me with that one. You know, I might have mixed it up as a tight end maybe, and I would stay out on that edge. You know, I'm not going across that B gap.
Nah,
especially in that era.
Yeah,
that's tough end.
Yeah, the rules were. I mean, you could get away with. There was a lot of vicious hits back then that they didn't have the rule changes. So Jimmy, obviously the Fab Five, Ray Jackson, another Texan from Austin, and then Juwan C. Webb and Jalen. So what? Clear this up for me, because I hear this in a couple different ways. Who was the first guy that committed of the five?
Juwan was the first to commit.
Okay.
Juwan Howard, and then I was second, Ray was third, and then Chris was fourth and Jalen was fifth. That's why Chris wore number 4 and Jay wore number 5.
Okay.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Well, that's something I never knew. All the Michigan lore that's in his brain of mine, I never knew that. Wow.
Because Chris wore 44 in high school and Jalen wore 42. So they, and it also aligned with me wearing 24 and Juwan wearing 25. And Ray kept his original number as 21. Because we were at one point talking about doing 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I think for some reason at that point, they wouldn't allow us to wear single digits or all of us to wear single digits. It was something like that. So that's how we ended up doing that.
Okay. Wow. So Rich, your last year was 86. Okay.
Yes.
And then, so Jimmy comes in 5 years later. So Rich, when all this Fab Five, Fab Five Part 2 came into play, where were you and how did you follow it overseas? You were playing overseas, right? At that time?
I left San Antonio. I left the Spurs. It was my second year in Europe.
Okay.
And I was in Israel.
Okay.
And when I heard about the Fab Five, y'all should know me by now. Y'all know I talked a bunch of smack. I was so excited about I told everybody, listen, I don't know if we did, but I told everybody, yo, look, we have #1 recruiting class in the country.
That's right.
I was like, listen, we ain't playing. And
that's right.
Listen, it was 2 of us because Roy Topley was with me. And so me and Roy talked a whole bunch of smack to the European players. Yeah. Please. Come on. I'm like Jimmy. We Maize Blue all the way through.
That's right.
And I told you, Tom, we had Maize Blue clubs in Israel. I had them in Greece. People would come up and be like, I'm a Michigan grad. So listen, we stretch around the world, man.
That's awesome. So Jimmy, let's go back freshman year, okay? And let's go back. I still go back to that Notre Dame game down in South Bend, ironically. In that area of that you were brought up in.
Yep.
And Fish starts Ray Jackson. Okay. I don't know. I mean, who was the starter prior to that? Was Freddie Hunter? Who was the other guy that Hebrew?
No, it was James Bosco.
Yeah, Bosco. Okay. So Ray Jackson starts, and you guys a good solid win. What did that mean? I mean, did you feel like, okay, there's no turning back? It's going to be us 5 freshmen. And what was that?
Well, we have been chomping at the bit for a while. And you got to know that Notre Dame game was in the middle of the Big Ten season. It didn't happen until February.
Yeah, for TV purposes. Yeah.
Yeah. So for us, we were already ready. In our minds, we felt like we had already earned those positions. Even myself, like I didn't start until Big Ten season came around. And, but I felt like I earned that spot since jump.
Right.
but we played our roles and we were comfortable in doing so. So when Fish, surprisingly, he didn't mention anything. He didn't allude to it. There was no warning or any inkling that we would think that would happen anytime soon. So when he went over the starting lineup and he wrote it on the chalkboard, and then he put Ray's name up there, literally the energy in the room just lit up. You could feel it. Nobody said a word. Nobody blinked an eye. Nobody shuffled or, nothing. It was just, you could just feel the energy kind of multiply. And that's how we rolled out the locker room. It carried on to the court. We ended up scoring all the points. And obviously that's not by design. It's just how it ended up.
Yeah.
And it was a great moment. And obviously me being from South Bend, that kind of gave me a little redemption.
Yeah.
From the family and friends still being mad at me. So too.
So that means we got him,
that.
Tom. That means we got him twice because we got him in the NIT.
That's
Oh,
right.
that's right. I mean, Rich.
Right.
So it's like when I'm looking at you guys, on Sunday, I saw, when you're down there at Chrysler, and it was great to you stop by our the champion suite of my buddy KB, Rich, and the guys really enjoyed that. So I'm looking down there. You got Tim McCormick, you got Jimmy King, you got Mike Hart down there.
Yes.
And it's like you guys are. It was like a bonding experience down there. And so were you guys talking about the present team, what you were seeing in front of you?
Yes.
And I'll start with you, Rich. How about this win on this overtime win? I mean, I gotta admit, I had some doubts in there. I mean, Wisconsin was playing that driveway basketball, getting their butts and just shoving them in. I was wondering if Michigan could stop them, but when did you feel like this was going to happen? The shot?
Well, first of all, I got to thank my boy Jimmy because he introduced me to Mike Hart, who, I'm a football dude with my Michigan guys. So Mike was a guy, one of my guys that I really liked.
Okay.
But for the game, we all talked about how it was going and what we needed to do. See, all players, we talk about what we need to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's going to make the guys better. Not Jimmy, not Tim thought that Hunter shouldn't have took the shot. We all thought that Hunter should have took the shot. Mm-hmm. And so, listen, once you get in overtime, the momentum is with you. And so we wasn't worried. I had a feeling we would win because it was with us.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, that was originally supposed to go to Joey Baker.
Right, it was.
But he got, that option was taken away by Wisconsin. Right. And then Hunter knew he had a full 2 seconds. And he squared his shoulders, man. I mean, it was
great.
And
shot,
how about it? And Jimmy, when it went into overtime, Jimmy King, typically the home team that comes back and forces the OT wins, right? Did you have a good feeling then?
Absolutely. And one thing about the Big Ten, and Rich, this as well, because we learned it from y'all, is that you have to defend your home court.
Yes.
Come hell or high water. You have to win at home if you want to advance into, the postseason. Mm-hmm. It's imperative in the Big Ten because road wins, it's tough. You got to be a very, very special team to win on the road. As you see, Wisconsin was in there the whole game. They were leading the whole game, but it's that half of a second, that 1-2 seconds that can swing the pendulum the other way. And it's like that every game. But like you said, Tom, it's the advantage goes to the home court. So I wasn't surprised at all. When he hit that shot, I really felt like we were going to win it. Yeah.
Now I want to move to the backcourt for a second with you, Jimmy, since you played guard. I mean, Doug McDaniel has improved incredibly from the start of the year. So, but it seems like when Jet Howard is out there, it somewhat takes it away a little bit from me. I'm going to ask you a straight up question. I mean, sometimes I think that Jet Howard, when he comes back healthy, would almost be a better option off the bench, a la, like someone suggested, like Vinnie Johnson with the Pistons in 89 and 90, instant offense, and then go with, Kobe and Doug in the backcourt. I mean, what are your thoughts on, I don't want you second guessing your teammate, Juwan Howard here, but just give me your opinion. If
I understand what you're saying, but I think what's really going on is that Doug has improved over the year and his confidence is exponentially growing, especially in the past 2 to 3 weeks, maybe in the past month. His play has really kicked up. I don't think it's attributed to Jace or Jet, his absence. I think that he's a freshman, and as freshmen typically grow throughout the season in this era, because he's getting so much consistent reps and so much consistent time. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing his confidence elevate. I think when Jace comes back, you have to incorporate him because he's too great of a player, he's too good of a shooter. He plays both ends. He spreads the floor, which is going to give Doug even more opportunities. I think Doug will have to take advantage of that when Jace comes back, because what teams are really going to start to do is probably trapping him after he comes off to that double screen, either the first or second screen at the top to force it out of his hands. And that's when you're going to need a Jace out there to be able, and obviously Kobe to spread the floor on the wings. Yeah. But I think they can play together. I think you can have a three-headed monster, three guards that with a nice big with Dickerson, and then you got, fours that can stretch the floor as well, that can slide over, that could play 3-4, that can shoot the three as well. Baker, I think is really starting to get comfortable too in his shot and his role in what he's doing. I know Terrence has been, battling some injuries, but I think as he gets healthier, we need him on that weak side glass and clean up over there and hitting his 15, 17-foot jump shot as well.
Yeah. Rich, I think, T. Will has a little Butch Wade. If he stays in his role, I think sometimes he launches the three a little bit too often. And I remember Kobe had an option. That was a critical time. One of the last possessions, and instead he opted not to give it to T. Will and took it to the rail himself. Because everybody's got their strengths. Right. T. Will's a scrapper and he gets bored. So I think he's got a significant role. But Rich, if you could talk about a little bit your man Hunter Dickinson, because you've been all bullish on this guy for all 3 years, and he's had some struggles. But what is he doing differently now? Is he just more proactive on the offensive end, or what is it? You got another double-double.
I think it's not only is he proactive, but I talked to you about this about a couple of weeks ago with all big guys. He's getting touches. When you don't get touches as a 7-footer, you don't really want to do nothing. You get an attitude. And Hunter's just like any other 7-footer. I feel, and we talked about this many times, and me and Tim and Jimmy was talking about this. The ball has to go through Hunter. If it goes through Hunter, right, he has to touch it once. That's all. We're not telling you to get to him everything. Yes. Let him touch it once. Yes. Because I feel he's an unbelievable passer for a 7-footer.
Yes.
He's a really good passer. And so I also know he's not a dark hole, because I think this is what Jimmy said. He's not a dark hole because he'll pass it. You don't have to worry about getting it and he'll pass it. Now, my other thing, I told you I want Reed Jr. in the game all the time.
Oh, Reed Jr., man. He's a disruptor. He's a disruptor.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. I want him because I told you I like the Twin Tower thing. Because it's difficult for teams to match up. Wisconsin had a hard time with that. So we put them two big dudes in. Yeah. What you gonna do? And so that's how I just think that we're on the upswing now. I think this is the best time for us to play. We start playing well. We have the tournament coming up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Big Ten tournament. Neither of you guys were in that. They didn't have that.
They didn't have that when
I wish they did. We pushed for it, but no luck.
That would have been interesting. Hey, Jimmy, I always, before I went to the press conference, I saw, Rich, you and Jimmy and others down there, congratulating Juwan. And Jimmy, I'd like to ask you, your assessment of your team. And I think Juwan, John Beilein came in here as a head coach with 30 freaking years of head coaching experience. Okay. So Juwan comes in here with no head coaching experience, but I'm thinking it's evolving with him. Are you seeing him evolve as a coach when you look at his game as a coach and improvement? How do you assess your teammate and what he's doing with his program, if you could? Did I lose you, Jimmy? Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can you hear me? Now you're back. Go ahead. Yeah, now I can.
Okay, so go ahead. Okay. The thing about that is that, coming in, Juwan was a highly sought NBA head coach. Yeah. He was at the top of the list of a lot of people's estimation. So coming to college, obviously, Michigan being on his list to coach in college, I think it's transferable. I think the skills are transferable. What I've seen in this past, 4 years, you got to remember Beeline's first 4 years, he didn't win.
Right.
He had a couple.
Yeah.
He had a couple. So let's give Juwan the same amount of respect to get his program under him as well. He's already won a Big Ten championship. He's been in the tournament, so I would say that he's very successful in a short amount of time. And I look for him, as I've been watching, to make adjustments. Like, there are moments that I know in timeouts, when they come out of timeouts, I know that they're going to score, or at least have a good option to score because of the plays that he runs and he draws up. So that's a mainstay that I know that Juwan is one of the best. That he was great at that in Miami, and I think that's why he was high on a lot of people's list. So what I witnessed here in college, what I've seen so far at Michigan, he seems to handle that very well. I think he's one of the best coaches in the game to do it.
Yeah, and the other thing about Juwan is he knows, he admits, he needed to surround himself with good people. He's got Phil Martelli there. He's got Saudi Washington.
Absolutely. Guys who got experience. That's a sign of someone who doesn't have an ego, who is also smart.
Yeah.
A guy, and that's one thing about Juwan. Juwan is a student of the game.
He is.
When he first got here, every day I saw him, he carried a binder, a notepad, and he was always writing in it. We'll go eat lunch. He's sitting right on the table, and he's always writing in it. So he when Ward and I had a discussion about Juwan, I said that you won't find anybody to outwork him, which means that all of that's going to transfer into recruiting. It's going to transfer into his coaching style. It's going to transfer to the kids. And I think that's what we see. You look at Hunter Dickerson, he, to me, embodies Juwan's personality and how he was on the court.
Okay.
Well, I agree with Jimmy, because Juwan, in the post-game presser, he started talking about Hunter, and he got emotional. Like, he's family. I mean, he's got his tears were, welling up. Juwan's a very emotional guy. Well, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I mean, that's just the way it is. Well, hey, Rich, big game. Both of you know how tough it is to play down in Champaign. And then you go down to Bloomington on Sunday. And both these teams are coming off losses, for God's sake. Terrible situation.
Yes.
What's Michigan going to have to do to grab one of these at least, and then maybe grab one of the Big Ten tournament?
I think they can grab, to be honest, and people think I'm crazy, I think they can grab Indiana.
Yeah, I think you're crazy.
See, right. And this is why I'm going to tell you. Let me tell you. The reason I think they can grab Indiana, they can beat them, if we start off like we did against Wisconsin in the first half, and we can control the big boy, the center for them, we're going to win. I'm telling you, I don't worry about nobody else. Jackson David, I mean, listen, he's a lottery pick.
Right.
This boy can play.
Right.
Indiana.
Well, Jalen Hood-Scafino is another dude. I mean, he's kind of like, he's got a little Jet Howard in him too. I mean, they're both. I mean, but he can kind of go up on his own, and it's either or with him. That kid had 35 against Purdue.
He showed that.
And then they get blown out by Iowa last.
Yes,
I can't figure this Big Ten out, man. It's crazy. Jimmy, what are your thoughts on these? To grab one for the Wolves, maybe grab two.
I agree. I think I think they could get one out of the two.
Yep.
Both of them will be very difficult. Indiana is playing in Sibley Hall. Rich, you know this is one of the toughest places to play in the 10. Illinois is not easy. The Orange Crush in there gives it to you every game. And I do think their easiest task may be Indiana, because they are willing right now. You look at what Iowa did to them. My Bombers 30.
Yep.
That's crazy.
But so, like Rich said, you keep big fella under wraps, which is hard to do. I think he's going to
hard.
But if you keep the rest of the team, under 10 points, 12 points, you got a chance to win. I mean, obviously he scored literally half their points last night. Yep. So that shows you that's a formula for opposing teams to win. Trace Jackson. Yeah.
And I think the magic number, 20. Well, if they get to 20 wins overall, they can sleep at night the night before selection Sunday. I think 19 could make it too because these are quad one potentials in front of them. So I'm excited about that. You know, Jimmy, I want to ask
also too, you know, that this will be their 13th win in the 10, right? If they win at Illinois or
well, they're 11 in the Big Ten right now.
Okay, I'm sorry. So
we got 11 wins.
It'll be their 12th win. It'll be their 12th.
They get 12. They get 12 and 8. That's never happened in the Big Ten. Someone have that 4 over 500 and not getting the NCAA tournament. But it's a weird year. It's that damn Central Michigan loss.
It's a different year this year. I think they could get in with 12.
Yeah.
They make it with 12.
But they're talking about taking 8 to 9 teams out of the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean the Big Ten's balanced and anything goes. You know, Jimmy, I was down in Indy for the last year after Michigan, a similar situation. They got in the tournament and they beat Colorado State. I was down there sitting behind the bench, Colorado State and Tennessee, and for the Colorado State game, Jalen Rose was there. Okay, and Juwan really appreciated that. And then for the Tennessee game, C. Webb was there, Ray Jackson was there, and Mark Hughes was there. And I'm telling you, and then those guys are going up to Juwan after the game, and Juwan's just, he's rolling tears, man, when he sees this guy. What kind of bond is still being maintained with the Fab Five and that kind of linkage you got, that brotherhood that you have? If you could share some of that with us, that would be awesome.
Yeah, we're always in contact with each other. So, it's not public, it's private. We're having private discussions amongst ourselves. So rest assured that the relationship is very strong. We're obviously brothers. Brothers may fight amongst themselves, may not always get along.
Oh.
You know how it is, Rich.
Yep, I do.
Get your elbow in practice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It might be some scrapes and scuffles, but
that's exactly
at the
right.
end of the day, we're gonna break bread together and we're gonna eat together. And I'm still gonna love my brother. So everything is good right now. Everything is smooth. We wish each other, birthdays. We just celebrated Juwan's a couple of weeks ago. Me, Jalen, and his son, or Juwan's sons, T Mac and Mike Finley, came through. Chris and Ray weren't able to make it, but they were there in spirit. So we're very tight. Chris's birthday is coming up, and actually today is Chris's birthday.
C. Webb's birthday today. I just saw.
Yeah, C. Webb's birthday is today. So we all, just keeping tight that way with each other and each other's families, hoping to get something together soon where we can publicly come out, but that's just on the law.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, I want to say this one thing, Tom.
Yeah.
When you talk about Juwan Howard, if you saw after the end of the game that all of us on the floor.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The love that Juwan showed my friends and family was unreal.
I saw that.
I talked to him and he told me some private things, which is we'll keep private because we talked about guys on the team.
Yeah.
But him and Ward Emanuel were amazing for me. And I sent his secretary a text afterward. Listen, man, you're not going to find a better kid than Juwan Howard.
Yeah.
Juwan's going to give you one thing I agree with Jimmy with. You ain't going to find a harder worker than him. Because this kid is going to he's going to be up all night if he have to figure it out.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I like is his X's and O's. That's one thing I've always liked about him. Because I know if he designed a play, I've seen all his stuff work.
Yeah.
Because when you need it, that play that he had for Hunter, he always have options. You can always have options on plays. And that's what I love. So that was my tip, but I wanted to make sure I put on here about the love that Juwan Howard showed me, even though we did both have the same Michigan mom.
I heard about that. Hey, Rich, I got to ask you, I want you to be totally honest with me, Rich. Did you ever get in a scrape in practice? Did you ever get in a fight in practice? Now, be honest with you. Just tell me. Let me know.
Hey, Tom, I got in 3 fights in practice. Just to let you know.
Tell me.
One fight? That's mandatory. You got to get in one fight.
I had one with Rocky Moore. I had one with Roy. My roommate, Tom, we got into a scuffle.
Wow.
And Butch never really scuffled because I ain't
you won't mess with Butch. He would tore you apart, man.
Yeah, exactly. But listen, that's what creates the bond is the fights.
Yeah.
The fights created. You see, after me and Roy fought, we became roommates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's the bond. Listen, every team that is going to be good, you won't fight.
Yeah.
That's just how it
That's
goes.
right. That's
If
right.
you went against The Rock, man, Leslie Rockymore, that dude had some guns, man. I
Listen,
commend you for that, man.
The difference was I was 6'7", I was 6'6", 230.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, this has been. We got to do this again with Jimmy King.
Absolutely, anytime.
You know?
I'm in Ann Arbor for a while, so I'm right up the road.
Yeah. So, lastly, Jimmy, if you could tell the many fans out there, the Fab Five, and we got a lot of Wolverine fans that watch this podcast because Rich is on there. Is what are you doing right now? What's your day job? And just give us.
So I got a couple of things. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Again, thank you for the time for bringing me on the show. I appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. But currently, I'm back in school and completing my degree.
Wow!
So I'll be done in April.
That's awesome.
So that's the lead in. But the real motivator is my daughter is also graduating from Michigan.
Oh,
so
really?
my plan is to walk with her.
Oh, that's
Are you
so cool.
kidding me?
Yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
it'll be a true daddy and daughter moment. And
so cool.
but as far as my day job and my business is True Champions, truchampions.com.
Okay.
You can go to the website, check us out. We're a recruiting service. We provide service for kids to transition from high school to college through athletic scholarships.
I got you.
So so that's my contribution to staying into the basketball game, is helping families devise plans so they can afford college. Not just D1. We really focus on D2, D3, NAIA, and JUCO.
Okay.
But obviously we work with D1 kids too. So, but they may not necessarily need the service as much, but we also have a la carte where they can pick and choose things that they actually need. They don't actually have to go through the whole service if that's not what's needed. And then also I have fab5.com where you can get real apparel from us directly.
I like it.
Directly.
That's not, that's not like a runoff or a sideshow or shoot off or some other entity. So those are the main two things that I got going right now. True Champions, truchampions.com, and fab5.com.
Well, the highlight of this whole podcast was Jimmy King's going to get his
he was.
University of Michigan.
That's right.
That's pretty awesome. So I commend you for that, my friend.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Well, it's great having you guys on, Rich. We got it's gonna be a tough act to follow our next guest.
Listen here.
You're
I think I might have to go get another Fab Five.
Glenn Rice is his banner, his jersey's up there, man. He might be.
And I got the word off of Glenn because you know how he is. If I don't put Glenn on here, he gonna tell me about it.
All right. Sounds good. Well, Rich, great job, Jimmy King.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate y'all. Thank you, my brother.
I appreciate you, my brother.
Yeah. All right. Take care.
All right, Tom.
All right. Thank you.
Go Blue.